Hey guys, thanks for watching Weddings by Cled. Today we are coming at you with another T&A, tips and advice. But before we get down and dirty with that, I just want to ask you, please subscribe if you haven't already. It'll get you fresh new content on wedding information every single week. And it helps me out too. So I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for subscribing. So today's topic is coulda, woulda, shoulda. I hear so many war stories. When people find out that I'm a wedding planner, I hear all the stories about what I should have done differently. Not only that, but I also eavesdrop sometimes. If I see two women sitting in a bar or a restaurant talking and I hear the word wedding, I'm like, what are they saying? And I always hear something like, if I had my wedding to do over again, I would have done this differently. I even hear them talking about it at my weddings. Sometimes I'll overhear people saying, oh, I wish I would have done that. So today I am gonna list them all out for you, and hopefully these things will help you in your wedding planning. These are the things I hear about from other brides and some of the things from my very own experience. Okay, so number one is kind of a funny story because it reminds me of my own wedding, like we say, 1 billion years ago. I wish I would have given my photographer a shot list. Hello. This goes under the blanket of don't assume anything. Don't assume that your photographer knows everything that you want to be photographed. And I'll take you way back to 20-something years ago when I was married. My mom was really insistent on having a picture taken of the sign that said reception located on 2nd floor, and it said both our names. Now, I don't know why, but she really wanted that. That really meant something to her. And when she didn't see it in the wedding proofs, she went absolutely crazy. So, like, really long time went by before we got our proofs, and I remember going back to the venue where I had my reception, and I had my first baby with us. And my mother had the hotel set up the sign and she took a picture of it so we could put it in my wedding album. Now, if she had communicated from the get-go that she wanted a picture of that sign, we would have had it in the wedding album. Now, I've heard other brides say to me, I didn't see any pictures of my mother-in-law, or I didn't see any pictures of this person or that person. So make sure you give your photographer a shot list of all the pictures that are important to you, of all the people that are important to you to be captured on the wedding day, to make sure it happens. Okay, so number two, something I hear is I would have confirmed that the vendors I booked are actually the ones that would be there on the wedding day. Now this goes for particular vendors, like for instance, the photographer or the planner. So this is something where you shouldn't assume. And I've had a bride where this happened, where she hired a particular photographer and she didn't ask to make sure that he was the one that was gonna be there. And then she found out later that it was not gonna be him, but she loved his style. So make sure you ask and make sure it's in writing that the person you want is actually gonna be there on the wedding day, because a lot of times your vendors own a company with a lot of people working there, and unless you ask, it won't happen. Okay, number three, I should not have had that many bridesmaids. Yeah, I agree. Okay, because whenever we have over, say, 5 or 6, there's always drama. There's always at least one, usually 2, that don't go with the flow, that don't do anything on time, that just don't go along with the rest of everybody. And we usually have them because we have to have them for some reason, and you shouldn't be doing anything except what you want to do for your wedding. So don't have too many bridesmaids. If you have like 8 or 10 bridesmaids, that's like 8 bouquets you have to pay for. And sometimes when you have that many bridesmaids, it's sort of like makes your groom have to have that many groomsmen. So all of a sudden you have a bridal party with like 16 to 20 people in it. So that's a lot more people to have to pay for, to have to deal with, to have to try to control, and it's a lot less stressful to just have less. Okay, so number 4, and I hear this a lot at weddings. I overhear people saying, Oh my gosh, I should have had assigned seating. Really? You know why? Because when you don't have assigned seating, it is a total cluster. Okay, so here's what happens when you don't have assigned seating at a sit-down dinner where you have 100% seating. Whether it's a sit-down dinner or a buffet, anything with 100% seating, people find their way into the ballroom and they like turn chairs over, they put all their stuff all over the table. That's number one. Even if the ballroom's locked, somehow they find their way in there because they've got to get that seat. Number two, if you don't have assigned seating, everybody runs in to try to get a seat, and then you have like a family of 3 or a family of 4, and they can't find 4 seats together or 3 seats together. And again, they start moving chairs around and it becomes a total mess. So think about assigned seating. It takes a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, but it's really worth it in the end. Okay, number 5 is such a no-brainer, but it's happened and it is a nightmare. So brides say, I should have told my bridesmaids or my vendors or whoever not to post any pictures before the ceremony. I mean, doesn't that seem like a no-brainer to you? But it has happened where someone has posted pictures of the bride, of getting ready shots, of the decor before the actual ceremony happens. I mean, come on, people. Do I need to be saying this? Number 6, I should have spaced some time between the wedding and leaving for the honeymoon. And this was another mistake I made in my past life before I became a wedding guru. I left for my honeymoon it was like a 9 a.m. flight right after the wedding. I mean, come on, you're up late, you're tired, you may be just a little bit hungover. So give yourself like a day where you can just kind of relax, do some last minute packing and leave for the honeymoon a couple of days later, maybe even a week later. You don't need to rush that. Number 7, I should have started writing my thank you notes before the actual wedding. This is especially for those of you that have really big weddings with lots of guests. You know how much time it's going to take to write all those thank you notes? And we've got to write thank you notes because it's the right thing to do. If people go out of their way to buy you a gift, they want to know, number 1, you received it, and number 2, that you're grateful. So start writing those as you receive them, and you'll be much happier in the long run. Next, this one, I should have eaten. Okay, I think like society tells brides, you're not supposed to eat or you're not gonna eat. But come on, you gotta eat. You've been starving for like weeks to get into your dress. And you know how I feel about that anyway, but I know you do it. So on the wedding day, sit down, take a breath, enjoy yourself, eat the food, okay? You'll thank me in the long run. So this next one I hear a lot, and it's a little deeper. It's almost life advice, but I should have stood my ground. And you know, this is something that I hear a lot because a lot of times brides want to please everybody. And they give in. They give in to their moms, or they give in to their friends, or they do what they think is going to please everyone else when, you know what, you have one day, you have one wedding, you have one chance to do it how you want to do it. So make it your day and don't worry so much about pleasing everyone else. All right, guys, so last but not least, number 10, the thing I hear the most, what I could have done differently and should have done differently, is I would not have had such a big wedding. Okay, why? Number 1, budget, okay? You know, 100 times something is one amount, 200 times something is a whole lot more. Do you really know that many people? Is it really necessary to have and guest on every single invitation? That's one of my pet peeves, because I notice that when people invite their guests with an and guest, that people tend to like just grab somebody at a bar or ask a friend to come. And if you think about it, like this is someone that you're paying a lot of money to serve a meal to, you know, that they're gonna go and drink at the bar and they're gonna get a favor and you don't even know them? I mean, come on. I think that, you know, when you invite singles, if they are engaged or they're in a relationship, how about we say like, if you know their partner's name, that should be the gauge. But just to say and guest, I mean, that's ridiculous. This is your wedding. Why not let it be an intimate celebration with those you love? So I hear that a lot. So that's something to think about. All right, y'all. So I hope that those shoulda, coulda, woulda comments helped you. And I would love to know in the comments some of the things that you wish you would have done differently if you're married. And if you're not married yet and you're planning a wedding, or you're an aspiring event planner, hopefully these are some things that'll help you in your wedding planning.